Welcome to the Naked Lens. I'm Viviana Taroni, and today we're going to be on the topic of when does art become exploitation? And what I mean by that is where is the line drawn between artistic nude and semi nude photography and exploitation? So, getting into this, nude photography has been around for centuries. It's been celebrated in galleries, it's been condemned in courts, and ultimately debated everywhere in between the times. So, with that said, at its best, it is something that's powerful and an amazing form of self expression, storytelling, and human connection. And at its worst, it's a tool used for manipulation and coercion. And today we are going to define the line between them. So, how do we define that line? How do we, as photographers, models, and consumers of art, recognize when a nude image is empowering versus when it's exploitative? So, let's get into it. I'm going to bore you real quick with some history of the evolution of nude photography. Nude art isn't new. And from ancient sculptures of Greece to Renaissance paintings, the human form has always been a subject of fascination. Yes, the intent behind these images have shifted within time, and that is what the problem is. As somebody who studied art and did art in college, it is not a crazy concept to have somebody nude, female or male, in front of you and you're drawing them. That's just how it is. The body is a form of art, and that is how it should be seen. So, with this sort of fascination that people have taken with bodies and the human image, photography took this fascination further, and that's when nude photography was often used for academic or anatomical studies or high art. But now, as photography became more commercial, this is where things are getting complicated. The same medium that created timeless portraits and also gave rise to female empowerment is now being used to objectify women and advertise them on media platforms. I don't know if you know who this is, but Helmut Newton, I loved his work. I still use his work as inspo. His work is amazing. His work is great. And he's somebody who took high fashion photography and blurred the lines between power and submission for modern artists. And these models who would reclaim their own nudity and selves as a self-portrait and a thing of beauty. So him doing this whole craft really just drew the two sides where nudity is a statement and also where nudity is a product. So with that said, it's like, when does nude photography become exploitation or exploitative to models and companies and creatives and social media? I will say that the biggest red flag for a nude shoot or a semi-nude shoot is going to be lack of informed consent. A model should know, I've talked about this before, but a model should know exactly what they're signing up for, where their images will be used, and how they'll be distributed, and whether they can withdraw any consent at any time. A model should not be surprised or have any last minute, oh, this would be a really cool idea stuff. Yes, things change on set, and that's totally fine. But things should not change so drastically to where your model's in a full fit and then all of a sudden naked. Like, that's not what that is. So I'm not saying that it's like things can't change on set when your intent was to take these type of images, but there's a difference when this was not the intent at all, and now you're like, oh, you know, it'd be really cool if you just stripped down and we just took photos of you fully nude. Like, no, that's not cool. That's weird. Literally, get out of here if you're gonna do that. Another red flag is going to be power imbalance. If a photographer holds all the control, whether it's through reputation, money, or industry influence, you as a model may feel pressured to comply with these things. And ultimately, you're going to be uncomfortable. With that said, do not let anybody's influence on social media or the amount of money that they're going to offer you for these photos be in effect. If you're uncomfortable, this is not something that you do, don't do it. There's no reason. There's plenty of other sick-ass photographers that will take amazing pictures of you and get you to where you need to be. That is all. You do not have to be butt naked in order to get yourself out there and get your name out there. That is it. That's it. There's no other way I can put that other than you do not have to do it. And you shouldn't have to do it. So then this is where the next thing comes, where it's sexualization without substance. This is annoying because I feel like to a male that I've heard many times before that makes me want to literally orbit is when a male says all nudity is sexual. No. Nudity is art. Nudity is a form of art. It's actually been a form of art for many, 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 many years if you were literate and actually knew a single thing about history or art in general, or even just the female body. So literally don't say that. Get out of here. I don't know what you're doing. Because not all nudity is sexual, and not all sexuality is art. If the intent behind the image is to solely provoke without meeting, it is worth asking, is this storytelling or is this just objectification? If you're just objectifying women in your photos to get your content out there, what the fuck? Literally, what the fuck? And this doesn't just go for nude photos. I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, guys. But putting a woman on her knees in a bikini on the beach, arms up, hand over, is not doing shit. It's not cute. Nobody wants to see it. You might think this is really cool. It's a shit concept. Everybody's done it. I've seen it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And every time I hear any type of form of this is what's happening, it's an immediate turn off. So don't do it. You're not doing anything. You might think you're cool. You might think you're doing something. You might think it's hot to the male gaze, whatever. It's literally not. It's disgusting and nobody wants to see it. So figure it out. Create new concepts. Stop being a man and grow up and actually create a story with what you're doing with your photography. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Cancel me if you want to. I don't care. But stop doing it. Figure it out. Anyways, so creating that story and getting it out there is something that you need to do. So if you're just sexualizing the body, there's no point in that. If you're telling a story, if these images are actually going somewhere, if you're painting a picture like this woman is a muse, A+. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job, sweetie. That's exactly what you need to be doing. If you're not, and you're just objectifying, you're not a photographer. You're not a photographer. You're a man who likes to take pictures of women. Let me say that again. If you are not doing anything with your images and you're just having somebody stand there or sit there nude, no storytelling, no thought put into it, you are not a photographer. You are a man who likes to take pictures of women. And that's disgusting. Please clock out because you're not doing anything for anybody. On to the next red flag. Disregard for model safety. What safety measures are you taking? What safety measures are in place? Is the model allowed to have a chaperone? Is you as a photographer respecting the model's boundaries? Maybe the model doesn't like to be touched. Before I touch a model, I normally ask, is it okay if I touch your hair? Or is it okay if I move this? I communicate what I'm going to do. I don't just like immediately start grabbing at them or towards them. Like, that's weird. Tell them what's going on. Communicate. Communication is key. Make sure they're comfortable. If you're shooting outside and maybe it's colder outside, make sure they have a warm place to go, or they bring a jacket or something. I just did a photo shoot the other day with the horses. I haven't posted them yet, but if you've seen it, I did a photo shoot with the horses. Her top was off. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a little chilly outside. I texted her beforehand. I said, make sure to bring maybe a zipper up jacket or a blanket. This way we can throw you in it if it gets too cold. I also brought my car. I pulled up my car, and I would have run my car and had her sit in it to warm up if she needed to. This is communication. This is making sure your model is safe. This is making sure your model is comfortable. There's many things on set that you can do that just continuously put your name out there and allows for that comfortability and safety to follow with the model. So making sure that you're not just a photographer who brushes off concerns, and you're not somebody that they wouldn't want to work with because you took no safety precaution, you took no care or little to no care about their safety and their feelings. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Make sure they're comfortable. Make sure you're communicating. Models also communicate. Sometimes photographers, there's a lot of creativity going through our minds, so we kind of just like zone out maybe here or there. But if you need water, if you need something, if you need to put your clothes back on for just a second, that's perfectly fine. You do you. Just communicate that on set. Okay, so another red flag is image misuse and lack of control. If a model loses ownership of their own images, that is a serious ethical breach. No one should have to fear their nude images being repurposed, sold, or leaked without consent. Models, please write a contract. Please bring a contract. Photographers, please print a contract or write a contract for the safety of both of you. Oh, I wasn't going to tell this story because this is a whole legal case and I didn't want to get into it, so I'm not going to name drop because I really just don't want to be a part of it. But there was this photographer who basically said that he was the safest person to be shooting nude photos with or semi-boudoir photos with, and he would give the models clothes, take the clothes back at the end of the shoot, and he would sell them. He would sell them online to men. And not only was he selling the clothes, he was selling their pictures online. This is disgusting. And to every woman who encountered this man and had been in this experience, I am genuinely so sorry. And I'm so glad that you are still modeling, and I hope you are still modeling and getting past this, because that is not what the modeling industry is like. There are people that are professionals and will take you in and comfort you and do everything right. But this is really the importance of having a contract and your comfortability. Bring people with you. Talk to people that have shot with him before. Yes, you might not know these things are happening, but as they start coming, make sure you have that contract, because if you don't have that contract and something comes out about your photographer or this person and you didn't have that, there's really not much you can do. Yes, it's going to go legally somewhere, but to have that hard evidence is really super important and able to protect you. So in this case, this is just a story that happened not too long ago, and I just wanted to bring it to light because it does happen, and you need to be taking all proper precaution and safety in this world. So let's say, for example, going back to this whole ethical breach, in your contract, it might say, I will be posting these images to social media. And you're like, okay, that's fine. Clarify what social media. Because are we talking about Instagram? Are we talking about Facebook? Or are we talking about OnlyFans? See how this can get a little mixed up? And that's terrible. That should not be something that you should have to worry about. But unfortunately, in this world, it is. So clarify your contracts. Clarify, speak to your photographer, where are these images going after? What can I do to protect myself? Yada yada. I want to say it's easy. I know it's not easy, but learn how to protect yourself and keep yourself safe in this industry, because the thing that happened not too long ago is very sad and very unfortunate for all of these women that were accused, and we need to protect ourselves moving forward. Okay. So, now we're going to talk about more of the photographer's responsibility. If we're being real, photographers hold a lot of responsibility when it comes to nude work. It's not just about getting the shot, it's about protecting the person in front of the lens. Yes, you might be like, oh, this is a sick shot, this is cool, this is the vision's coming to life. Is the person, though, in front of you comfortable? Are they protected? So let's kind of talk about more in depth of how to be on the right side of this conversation. Like I said before, communication is everything. Communication is everything. Communicate what you are expecting them to do day of. No vague expectations, no sudden creative ideas, like I said before, and no pressuring the model into doing more than what they agreed on. If you agreed on doing a boudoir shoot in, let's just say, a lace lingerie set, that's great. You're doing a photo shoot in a lace lingerie set. You are not taking nude photos with nothing on. That was not said. That was not stated. That's it. Now, if things change day of and the model is okay with it, or the model suggests it, then fine. But if the contract says, and if the original statement says, we're doing a lingerie photo shoot, then you are doing a lingerie photo shoot. Creating that safe and professional environment is also huge. Again, making sure lighting is there, making sure warmth is there, making sure privacy is there, and not pushing boundaries. If a model is hesitant, a real professional does not try and convince you to do something. Don't sit there and try and convince your model or your client to do something that they're uncomfortable with. An uncomfortable position, an uncomfortable pose, an uncomfortable anything. If they are hesitant, give them a second, let them take a bathroom break, let them put their clothes on for a second, regain whatever they need to regain, and then move forward. And if they're done with the photo shoot, then they're done. Don't push it. Okay. Giving models control over their images too. So this goes again with their contract. Yes, you might be like, well, why is a model sending me a contract when I'm the one paying them? That's great. They're paying you, but they need that level of comfort and security as well. Figure out a contract that works for both of you, and then go from there. Or if it's not a contract, at least a statement saying what is happening, what you both are comfortable with, and what is happening ultimately to those images after. That's just like bottom line for photographers. At the end of this whole thing, saying that you guys should maybe, work together on a contract or a statement, at the end of the day, nude photography or semi-nude photography is a collaboration, and if it's not, then that's a problem. Both parties should be collaborative on the project, understand what's going on, and then move forward. Now we're going to move on to the role of social media with modern art and kind of just ultimately talk about how it's changed. Social media has completely changed the game for your images. It has changed the the game for the reach of your images and everything, so on. So, on one hand, platforms like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok have given models more control over their images being shared, but they've also made it easier for images to be stolen, misused, and stripped of context. This is where having that clear vision of storytelling is key. You don't want to just take nude photos and, send them out there for anybody to screenshot and use on some type of website. Make sure your model's covered up. If their nipple's showing, maybe exit out, mark it out, edit it out, whatever. Make sure that this can't be just taken and used out of context. That sucks to say, but that is the world that we live in, and it can be. So having that storytelling, having like a theme or, a feeling that comes with your pictures allows for that not to just be taken and misused out of context. This also goes into like social media platforms flagging artistic nudes or like calling them inappropriate, but like they also allow for hypersexualized commercial ads to like slide through. So it like kind of raises the question of like, so who gets to decide if it's art or if it's too much? And we really don't know. But I can tell you that if you have a story and you actually know what you're doing and you're following through with a storyline, it's going to be marked as art and not just like random nudes thrown on somebody's Instagram page. So yeah, censorship is great. And sometimes it's bad at the same time because you'll literally have the most artistic thing and they'll be like, "Oh, flagged." And it's like, "Oh, okay, like that's just great cuz I thought I created a cinematic masterpiece, but whatever." Anyway, but that's also where the photographers and models need to work together to ensure their work is respected, protected, and also seen in the right context. Because, I mean, like, let's be honest. When a nude image is done right, it's not about sex, it's not sexualization, and it's more about the strength, the vulnerability, and the raw beauty of just being a human in itself. So, getting down to, like, the final thoughts. Here's the bottom line. Nude photography isn't the problem. Exploitation is the problem. If a model feels in control, respected, and empowered, then that is art. If a model feels pressure, disrespected, or used, that is something entirely different. As photographers, we have the power to shape how nudity and images or semi-nude images are perceived, and if somebody's seeing, them as shameful, quote unquote, or beautiful or something empowering, and that's not a responsibility that we as photographers should take lightly at all. I'm just going to leave you with this. The next time you see or take a nude image or a semi-nude image, ask yourself, who is this really serving? And if the answer is not the person that is in the photo, then maybe we should rethink our ideas and our concepts and our images. Because what are we doing wrong? And to the models and clients out there, if anyone ever questions you on why you would post something like that, I hope you just say, it's because I'm hot and I can. If somebody's like, why would you post that to social media? Why would you even consider taking pictures like that? Why would you broadcast yourself like that? Literally respond, because I'm hot and I can. Because I'm hot and I can. And if somebody ever shames you for posting something more revealing or artistic, I hope you just respond with, fuck you. Because ultimately, nobody wanted your ratty ass opinion anyway. Like, literally nobody. Like, I don't remember asking. They don't remember asking. Nobody remembers asking. So, yeah, I think that's a great way to end this episode. And if you have any thoughts or clarification, just hit me up and ask me questions. You can drop a comment where you're listening. I'd love to hear your take on it. I'd love to hear your stories. And in the meantime, keep your art intentional and your ethics in check. That is it. Okay. Bye. See you next week.